Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Television One.
Good afternoon and welcome to Pro Club in Vienna. My name's Debbie Greenwood and I'll be your host for primetime television for TV1. Over the next few days we'll be giving you special programming about Vienna, about Prime and about Pro Club. We'll get an insider's look at this fascinating city, its people, its history and its culture. And we'll get close up and personal in interviews with Prime executives, and we'll have some fun with some of the world's top salespeople, the Pro Club attendees, as they try their hand at some Viennese specialities. But that starts in a few minutes. But first, can I tell you what's on the agenda for this evening? We kick off in a very relaxed way with a reception in the ballroom foyer from 7 to 8, followed by a real Austro-Hungarian dinner and local entertainment. So that's something to look forward to. And gentlemen, can I just remind you that today's the day to get fitted for your tuxedos, as you'll want to look your best for the Pro Club banquet on Wednesday night at the Hofburg Palace. But I'm rushing away with things here. Wednesday's a long way off and there's lots to see and do before then. I thought we'd begin things with a look at an Austrian institution, the Summer Ball. Well, there's certainly no shortage of beautiful parks in Vienna. At the moment, I'm in the very carefully manicured grounds of the Schönbrunn Palace. This place was actually set up way back in the 17th century by the Habsburgs, and it's where Marie Antoinette grew up. Now, over the centuries, this has been a rather splendid backdrop to countless summer balls, and tonight, the Great Palm House will relive some of that history. And it's no mean task transforming what's basically a very elegant greenhouse into a ballroom. An army of workers had begun early in the afternoon, rearranging some of the great tropical plants to make way for furniture, lighting, and 1,000,001 finishing touches. By nightfall, the stage was well and truly set for the most important guests, who'd taken a step back in time to the 1920s for a night of elegant nostalgia. To the guests who pulled up in their classic cars, the Palm House seemed like a shining glass palace against the night sky. You didn't know I could dance, did you? The night was lost in a blur of beautiful Charleston dresses, feather boas, dandy suits, monocles and spats. And if all of this has whetted your appetite for the Schönbrunn Palace, you can see it as part of one of the walking tours on Wednesday afternoon. Vienna is one of the cultural capitals of Europe. It's on the border between the East and the West. In fact, it's only a short train ride away from here to Prague or Budapest. Now, the downfall of communism in Eastern Europe has added extra complexities to the European marketplace facing 1992. Our man at the top of Prime's International Business Unit is Mike Forster, and he had some thoughts on the situation earlier. So sitting here in a park on the borders of Czechoslovakia and Hungary, practically, what have events in Eastern Europe meant to Prime in terms of opportunity? Do you actually have a strategy to go after Eastern Europe?
Oh, absolutely, Debbie. We see it as a marvelous opportunity for us. As a matter of fact, I get asked the same question about every other week, as a matter of fact, by our chairman, Russell Planitzer. And he's quite interested in our strategy there, and is a big supporter of the efforts that we intend to take.
Well, what do you tell him when he asks you this question?
Well, I tell him, first of all, that we do have a strategy, not to worry. Secondly, that we're going to drive our development of the opportunity in Eastern Europe through our very strong German subsidiary. Erwin Leonardi and his team have a marvelous background in CAD/CAM, and we see the primary opportunity there being in CAD/CAM systems, particularly our product we call Medusa. The reason for that is quite obvious. Medusa was licensed for Eastern Europe, many of the countries in Eastern Europe, over 5 years ago, and being a UK product, a developed product, it's found great acceptance throughout Europe, and it's also found its place in Eastern Europe, as we've talked about. So we've got an install base there. We have several hundred customers who are quite anxious to broaden their business base with us and to do more with us, and it's off of that base that we'll leverage our future development.
Well, moving right over to the other side of the world, you've enjoyed considerable growth in the Far East. Do you expect that to continue?
Oh, absolutely. The Far East is growing at 25 to 30% a year in CAD/CAM, while the markets in our computer systems business are less developed. They are growing in some of the lesser developed countries there at a 10 to 15% kind of rate, and that's markedly different than the rest of the world. You put it all together, and we're growing from a small base, admittedly, but we've got a 15 to 20% growth business in the Far East, and our good presence in Japan bodes well for us in the future.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You're obviously a very, very busy man, and this is a challenging time for you. How are you coping with it all?
Oh, I hope quite well. I must say that learning to tolerate 15, 16, 18, 19-hour flights is a bit of a new experience for me. But I found that I've accustomed myself to it much better than even I thought. I have been to Australia, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Singapore, Kuala Lumpur. I've been just about to all of our territories in the Far East now, except Japan, and I'll be there for a week or so in July.
It's Thursday, this must be Tokyo syndrome.
Yeah, a bit of that. But you find that if you don't fight it, and if you take good care of yourself, and I try to do a little running when I travel, and I try to eat well, and if you do those things right, the body seems to accept it okay.
Now, you and your wife Betty have recently moved to Munich. How are you finding life out there?
Oh, we're delighted about being in Munich. We think that München is perhaps the best place we could have chosen to live. It's a city that's big enough, but not too big. It's got great history and charm about it. It's got a wonderful theater, a wonderful opera, and the people in Bavaria are especially nice and friendly and outgoing.
They don't treat you as a bit of a curiosity?
No,
Two Americans landed right in the middle of all of that?
No, you must remember, I'm from the southern part of the United States. You might have noticed that.
I thought you were JR.
And now we're into the southern Germans, and so the Bayericians are really our kind of people. So we're quite happy there.
What about the language? Do you speak any German?
Nur ein bisschen.
And that's a phrase you keep coming up with?
Yeah, I use it quite a bit. That and mein Deutsch ist schlecht. But the combination of those two gets me off to a start anyway. We're both working on it, and we have tutors, and we've got a long, long way to go. But it's one of the things that adds some interest and excitement about living in Germany is learning a new language and a new culture. And we found it quite nice.
Betty was actually telling me that the place you've moved into is proving to be quite a challenge as well.
Yeah. We moved into an old apartment building that's well over 100 years old, and it's right in the midst of reconstruction. And what they've done is nice, but we just wish they'd get through with it. But it's coming along.
I bet. I expect you don't have too much time for a social life, but is it very different from in the States?
We really don't find it so much different. We've been awful busy moving in, getting our new office established, getting our team together in Munich, and that's essentially done now. All the key staff is hired except the Vice President of Marketing, and we're working actively to get that done. But I believe that now that the core group is there and we're all getting settled and we have our families there, that we're going to really be able to enjoy the Munich social scene. As you probably know, you've been there many times, there's a a festival or some kind of cultural event almost every weekend, some kind of fair or something.
Usually to do with drinking beer, I
We
imagine.
occasionally have a beer, yes, in Munich. It's something we like.
Well, it's good to hear a bit about what makes you tick there. But tomorrow, are you looking forward to the business session?
Oh, very much so. I really been getting excited about the session for the last week or so as I've begun to think about it some more. It's always great to get our top performers together, to get our people here and have a chance to recognize the folks that really made it happen in the previous year. And one of the special things about Pro Club, of course, is we get to bring spouses here. And our spouses and guests many times have given up a lot of weekends for us. They've let us work a lot of long hours, and they put up with an awful lot of aggravation because clearly it takes a bit of that to do the kind of things that these people get done in the course of a year. So to have them here with us makes Pro Club special. Vienna, of course, is a special city, and I think we've got a marvelous program for everyone that they're certainly going to enjoy.
Great. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me today, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you tomorrow.
Thanks, Debbie.
Oh, no! Now, Viennese cuisine is a result of many influences from all over Europe. Like the schnitzel, for example, that originally came from Milan. And Apfelstrudel, which is my favourite, that's originally from Hungary. Now, I'm quite determined, because Apfelstrudel is delicious, I'm quite determined to find out how it's made. And to do that, I've enlisted some help here. I've got Ed and Joy Richlick from Toronto in Canada, and Chef Gerhard. Gerhard, what's the secret of Apfelstrudel?
Secret, there are lots of secrets about Apfelstrudel. The first secret is to make the dough, the plain dough. You need flour. We have special flour. I don't know if you can get it everywhere. It's a special kind of flour. The way you make it, it's very simple, but in the simple way, it's the big secret. Not too soft, not too hard.
Right.
Water, oil, salt, and flour. That's all.
Okay, well, let's see how you do it.
Okay, so we start. We have the dough here already prepared a little bit. Now you start just pulling.
It's like elastic.
Yes, it's like rubber.
I love to cook, actually.
Has
I
to
really do.
relax also a little.
I'm not good with pastries. Joy does all the baking at home, but I do like to cook.
Here, you see how it goes?
Oh boy.
Now we come to the serious part. Breadcrumbs, roasted, a little bit roasted in the oven with butter inside. Just put here. We make only this half.
Right. Forget the holes.
Okay.
Guys, I think you
Breadcrumbs.
failed already. I think, okay?
Just can you spread them a little bit, just like this? Yes, more. Put them on the breadcrumbs. Yes.
Lots of apples?
That's
Oh,
enough.
she's good at this
That's
You
perfect.
can do this bit. Help the man. Come on, help
Then you
him.
carry on.
That's what you're for.
And you put some raisins on,
Raisins?
please.
Okay.
God, I don't know. You can't get the staff these days, Gerhard, can you?
I go for the taste.
Yeah?
I go for the taste because whoever eats sweets, I mean, he doesn't look for his diet anyhow so much. Now there are certain things, but this typical Viennese pastries are not for diet people.
Not really.
Not really, no. Can you carry on? It's not sharp, it's just
Shall I hold it for
Oh,
you?
thank you.
it comes off almost right.
Somehow it looks different when you do it, Ed.
It doesn't look exactly the same.
I think it's meant to be a straight line.
Do you have any scissors?
It comes in, you roll it in and you don't see it. Don't worry.
Scissors would be better.
Now comes the, how is it, the show part of the whole thing. You just lift it up. You take it here, you
Okay.
take it here,
Okay.
and you just roll it over.
Oh, wow. Magic.
See how it looks? You just
Look at
roll
that.
it over. And now we pull it a little bit before it falls off and just roll it.
Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness gracious.
Oh, wow. I like that bit. That's great.
It looks like a big sausage now.
It does, the sausage.
Just break it here.
Need any more?
It's okay right
Yes.
So squidgy,
Yes.
isn't it?
there? Yeah, it's
If I
great.
just squidge it a bit. Oh, yeah, it feels really nice. Well, that's looking good. I've got to ask you something now. Oh,
Okay.
come here. Now, I want your professional advice about these two people, okay? Now, Ed's working in a bank and Joy's still working for Prime. Should they give up their day jobs or not?
Oh, you're right. We could need some people here, yeah? They did, as I said, for the first time, they did quite good, so...
Mike Forster, watch out. You could be losing some more of your stuff if you're not very careful. That's it from the schnitzel moment. Well, if that display of culinary ineptitude hasn't spoiled your appetite for dinner, you'll be pleased to know that the reception begins in just about an hour's time. Here at TV1, we'll be taking a break until 10 o'clock, when we'll be back on air for all you jet-lagged insomniacs. We've got a look at the Hofburg Palace, a close-up look at that, plus the first of our late-night films, The Sound of Music. And if that doesn't put you in an Austrian frame of mind, I'm afraid nothing will. But right now, we've got a sneak peek at what goes into making an event like Pro Club possible. Now, they tell me that only 3 things in life are certain. That's death, tax and Pro Club every spring. Now, as Prime's top salespeople, you know that it's not uncommon to put 1 or 2 years' work into a major deal. Well, Pro Club is no exception to that. There's a whole team of people beavering away like mad to make the event happen. Shannon, just how much work is there in something like this?
Well, basically, we start on the program about 2 years out at the latest to book a site. We need to make sure that we get the best hotels, the best time of year, the best locations. So we do need to do it 2 years out because we use quite a bit of meeting space, and we're fighting a lot of other companies out there who want to go to the same places we go to.
Just how much meeting space would you need for an event like this?
Well, the meeting room itself is about 10,000 square feet, and then you need 6 workshop rooms for about 35 people each, and you've got all your functions which have to take place in different rooms than the meeting room itself, so you need to have a hotel such as this one that has a lot of space involved.
We also need it really for an advance, because if you've seen the production that goes into the meetings, it takes a couple of days in advance to set that up.
Now, Martha, Vienna's obviously very beautiful. Why do you think it was chosen this year?
I think that we like to change destinations every year. We wanted to go to a city. It seems to be a perfect time given the worldly events right now, and so it's worked out just fine.
Absolutely. How have you found the hotel so far?
Wonderful. I think that everyone's going to have a really nice time here. I think these folks are really glad that Prime is here, and they're going to make sure that everybody has a really nice time.
Now, you're standing there, you're making everything seem very smooth and glossy. What's the hardest part of your job?
Well, I think that we like to try to accommodate everyone, and everyone's quirks, everyone's changes, and I think that it gets complicated when you multiply one change by 300. We're really happy to do it, but there is a lot of work.
There are times when you get a headache, I can imagine. What's actually happening over here behind us?
Well, right now, these folks are still stuffing all the packets that everyone receives when they arrive, and it has things such as their name badge, their schedule of events, a selection of restaurants that they can go to on the night that they're on their own.
Bit about Vienna.
Bit about Vienna.
Yeah, maps and brochures on Vienna.
You can only obviously plan so far. Has there ever been a time when events have overtaken you and something you've planned very carefully just hasn't happened?
I'd say primarily due to weather conditions that has happened. We did a Pro Club a couple years ago in Kauai, and it was gorgeous for a month before the attendees arrived. I wasn't there the whole month, but it was really nice for what I was told. And about 4 o'clock on arrival day, it started raining, and it basically didn't stop until about noon on departure day when everyone was leaving. Then the sun came out for another few days. It was very nice.
What a nightmare. You never get too much sun, though, can you?
Never.
Or perhaps if you planned an event where you wanted a bit of coolness, would sun be a problem then?
Well, there was a problem in Arizona with a road rally, wasn't there? Wasn't it awfully hot?
Actually, it was in Palm Springs.
Palm Springs?
Palm Springs. We had a road rally, and it was great. We had like 8 people to a team, and they were going out, and it was like going to be great, you know, get all these people. It was 110 degrees. And everyone basically baked themselves, and they were really hot and didn't enjoy it quite as much as they would have if it had been 75 degrees outside.
Goodness. Well, obviously the weather's a little more temperate in Vienna, and I know you girls like to keep a few tricks up your sleeve. You don't like to spoil everything for people. But can you give us a taster of some of the things that we have planned for our delegates?
Well, I think so. We have, of course, the Vienna City Tour, which is going to be taking place on Monday, along with a couple of walking tours to area things close by, such as the inner courtyards of people's homes and coffee shops, or the Fine Arts Museum. And then on Tuesday, we think we have a really special day planned. We have a Danube Valley tour, and then we go to the town of Fiersbrunn, where we have a lot of different wine cellars set up, and people are going to be able to go in and actually talk to the people who own these cellars themselves. It's the villagers who live in that particular take place. And then we go up to Grafenik Castle for dinner. And it's going to be it's a long day, but it's really worth it. It's going to be a really fun time.
Well, thanks for sparing the time to talk to me. I know you girls have got a lot of work to do, and I'll let you get on with it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.